Another Sunday evening, it means it's time for another live recording of the Auburn Experience podcast. We've got episode 55 coming up for you now. 3 big topics to discuss in the show. And of course, we're going to chat with you a little bit before and afterward. Let's get into it right now. War Eagle Auburn family, War Eagle E2C Network family, welcome back to another live recording. I'm back in the saddle, your host, Kyle. And look who's over there in seat number 2. Back again, Austin Scott. Welcome back, sir.
Thank you, War Eagle Kyle. Hope you're doing well. And we're all riding high right now. So good to be back.
Honestly, since the last time we talked, the mood has certainly shifted a little bit, which is going to be a lot of our conversation tonight when we start recording. Yeah, it's been an interesting time, us trying to get together on a regular schedule just because of life, but also what's been happening with the football team. So thankfully and conveniently, we found a way to come back together when the team won. I think we kind of planned it that way.
That's right. We worked together with the team in making sure that could happen. So you're all welcome.
You made sure that sickness ran through your house at the exact moment that we were going to go through a gauntlet in the SEC, so you wouldn't have to address it. All of those things.
That's how it always works.
And look, here's the reality. You and I were really excited to do the very first in our series of the Auburn Mount Rushmore things. And you were like talking about it on the phone with me. And then things happen, man. So
Look, no one tells you that. Well, they might have told me. I don't remember. But when kids come into your life, all the sickness comes back. And it's like your immune system just starts over where they're at, which is 0. And so it's terrible, but life happens. We're back together now, and we'll see how long it lasts.
well, that's a fair point. I would think you don't want to count your chickens before they hatch because you've been going through it a little bit of a time. But he's back here, so we're happy to have him here. We'll get started here in the show in about 3 or 4 minutes. Start recording. But if you've got comments or questions, especially that we've got Austin here, and you've got something maybe that's been on your mind you'd like to have him talk about, obviously go ahead and address that right now. We got a lot of fine folks checking in. Stan's here, Rob's here, John's here. Good to see all of you. Thanks for being here. Stan says looking more and more like a 7-5 season and then a bowl game. I mean, that was a huge win for Auburn. Obviously we want to save some of it for the show, but I mean, I think 2 different programs that really didn't need to lose this game. Aren't we glad we got the win?
Yes, and definitely a tipping point for both. I mentioned this in our E2C Discord, but regardless of how you felt like the team has looked or how they've performed so far, no one's denying the gauntlet that Auburn just went through with the first half of the SEC play season. It doesn't matter if they were clicking on all cylinders or if we thought they were a competent offense from the start. It was going to be a tall task. This was the start of maybe some more winnable games and really be able to compare where this team is right now with some perspective. So good win, and we'll see how the rest of the season goes.
Here's the thing I wish I had queued up right now, and I don't, is I think it's Romeo Crennel, I think is his name, from the NFL, and the little clip that says, well, they are who we thought they were. I think it's when he was with the Browns or the Cardinals, one of the two. We are who we thought they were. I probably have the wrong coach, but I believe it was Romeo Crennel. But that's a great clip I wish I had queued up about the end of that gauntlet, because it was crazy. Just what we had to go through to get to that particular game. Does the SEC play in the Duke's Mayo Bowl? Or is there even a conference thing now?
It was the Belk Bowl, so I know they were tied in then. I don't know if it got changed when they moved. That's not one Auburn ever seems to be in consideration for. So I've always thought that would be fun too. For personal reasons, I'm hoping for the Gator Bowl now in Jacksonville. I think I could make it work with some friends that live down there. We just started talking about that today, but yeah. So who knows? Auburn's got to get there first. We got to get 2 more wins at least.
Yes. Look, I mean, it's very much now in the viewfinder. Like, it was far off. You didn't think you could ever get it in the viewfinder fully, but very much attainable now at this point. Let's see, Kyle, my namesake, he says it was a much needed conference win. Glad we could get it. Absolutely. The mood has definitely shifted. I mean, frankly, and I was going to say this for the show, but I'll go ahead and say it because we put a short up about it. The wave happened in the stadium, and I haven't seen that for years. Like the fact that was, you know what? I'm gonna gripe for a second before we start the show here. We had this one dude. I left his comment up there, and he complained about us even showing that we did the wave there, acting like that. We didn't care about the game. I'm like, dude, you are lacking so much context. And the comment only response. So he's watching this. You're welcome. Because probably what he wanted out of me as a reaction. But I just said, dude, wow, just wow. We did the wave during a timeout and there was nothing else going on. So I'm sorry that we couldn't be uber focused on the field while there was a timeout and doing that.
Anyway. Are you a fan of the wave, Kyle? At sporting events,
it's pretty gimmicky and it's pretty but the fact that people were happy and participating,
yeah, fair enough.
What more can you ask for?
Total context there. Fair enough. I'm not a fan of the wave in general, but
so you were the guy that posted the comments.
No. I get what you're saying though. It's like, okay, Auburn fans can enjoy being in the stadium enough now, finally, to just do something as simple and dumb as the wave. So, yes. But I don't like the wave.
There you go. Duke's Mayo is apparently SEC,
there you go.
So, well, it's on the table. Look, we're not going to be getting Cotton Bowl or anything like that. Like that's off the table. But Gator Bowl, Duke's Mayo Bowl, Birmingham Bowl. It's all out.
Please no. Please no.
It's all out there. All right, we have got to get the show on the road here. I will stick around a little bit after to hang out and talk with you all. So please do stay after if you can. That'll be a little less formal right now. We'll move into our record period, about 30 minutes, 10-ish minute segments, a little Auburn potpourri. We're going to talk about the football win and kind of the state of things post that win. And then we're going to talk about the band because they've been having quite a little bit of a 2-week period here where they've been very, very popular for good reason. So we're going to talk about all those things. Let's get into it. If you're ready, sir.
Yes, sir.
In 3, 2, 1. David Housel described it best. We are living the whole of the Auburn experience. So many different things fall within that categorization. People, places, items, moments in time, all the different things that you could think of could be defined within that space. But at its heart, at its core, it is all about our sports. It is all about our culture. And it is all about our family. And because it's all about the Auburn family, you got to have Auburn family members here to discuss this experience. I'm your host, Kyle Loomis, back with me yet again in chair number 2, Mr. Austin Scott, back from the grave where he was just once again deathly ill. Welcome back, sir.
Thank you. Well, I'm glad to be back. Deathly ill is a good way to put it. I also wanted to add, though, that because we talked about pre-show a little bit, and I completely forgot, which is just such a great big brother thing of me. Last week, my sister did get engaged on Sunday night.
That's right.
Which was the main reason I was out. Now, was I feeling 100%? Absolutely not, because I have 2 7-month-old boys who make it their life's mission to make sure our house is not healthy ever. But my sister did get engaged to her Auburn man, Mr. Zachary Faircloth. So congratulations to them. And yeah, thanks for having me back.
Shameless plug on the podcast, but it's for your family. So I guess we can allow that at that point. See, you could have just blamed the boys, because I feel like every time I've talked to you, you're like, you answer the phone, you're like, hello, or you're just, I felt really bad for you because I've just assumed now that you're in a perpetual state of sickness. But I do now remember that you had a family event last week. So happy for them. Congratulations. And I don't know if they listen or anything like that, but you got your shout out. So we'll move forward here. I want to start us off like we normally do, talking about a little bit of Auburn potpourri, bounce around to a bunch of different things. I want to start first by addressing something that literally just happened. We recorded this on a Sunday evening. The Auburn soccer team had an up and down year, had some big moments, maybe some, less than stellar moments, but they are in the SEC tournament and just got in there, and they just beat Tennessee 2-1, I believe the score was, and are moving on and advancing. Now, maybe by the time you're watching or listening to this, that's changed what's happening for them in the SEC tournament. But in an up and down year, great start, and I want to congratulate Coach Hoppa and them on going down to Gulf Shores. Can you imagine just going down to the beach for a tournament? Or I think it's in Pensacola this year. Either way, I know it's down south. For me, that's a great place to be if you got to go for a conference tournament.
Oh, absolutely. And it's still that time of year where you're probably not laying out on the beach very much, but it's that fun time of year where it's just cool enough to be on the beach in like a long sleeve t-shirt.
You
So
know,
good for them. Nice surprise.
the weather this weekend would have told you could have laid out in
True.
pretty, normal summer attire because of how warm it was, not just in Auburn, Alabama, but I'm sure many other places in the South. Not for much longer, though, folks. When we arrive back in Jordan-Hare, fall will be here, and it will be nice and crisp in the air. Well, listen, I love fall, to be honest, and what I consider real fall, where it's not really cold, but we get that like mid 70s, mid 50s as your low. That to me is like the sweet spot right there. But we're talking more, we're going to be like 60s is the high, 40s is normally, depending on where you are, your mileage may vary. But fall is arriving, folks. I hope you enjoyed that last warm, sunny day in Jordan-Hare, because it'll be much different next time. So congrats again to the soccer team. I want to address something with you, Austin, that you and I were talking about pre-show. This notion of Auburn's national championships. Mm-hmm. You and me have long known, we experienced one of them, that 1957, 2010 are official national championships.
Correct.
We're not Alabama, where we don't just claim because some Joe Schmo publication decided that they were a champion. We've meticulously been having this debate, though, in not so public forums, or even maybe public forums, about Auburn needing to claim some more national championships. And as of this recording, you and I just checked the Auburn website, the Auburn football website, their history. There are 5 national championships listed there now. I have them correct. Correct me if I'm wrong. 1913, 1983, and then what was the third one? You remember off the top?
1993 has been added too.
On probation. So that one's got a little bit of a debate there, I think, in terms of being in trouble for things. Hey, but if someone named us the national champion, so did Alabama claim it. Either way, we don't have to have that particular debate tonight, but thoughts on this, because it's not official yet. We might spend some time going into more depth about it, but just what do you make of this? It's official on the website, but not in an announcement form.
Yeah, really interesting thing, and always been a debate among fans on should Auburn claim as many. If Alabama's doing it, well, then we might as well just claim all ours as well. And I think a lot of schools have that same debate. Yeah, I don't know where I land on it quite yet. I think that it does tell that there's more that could be claimed than just those 5, but those are kind of the 5 we've settled on right now, and I think that has to add a little more credibility to each of those. Obviously, we're recognizing 2 of those this season, or already have, I guess, the 83 and 93 teams. And then, truth be told, Kyle, I don't know anything about the 1913 team. That might have to be a research project.
Listen, if somebody out there knows about the 1913, like has firsthand knowledge, more power to you. You are doing very well. You must be doing very well health-wise to be able to tell us about it.
We shouldn't be surprised that it's a year that ends in 3, though, right? I mean, that's the all tell right there. But I'm interested to see. I hope we get some kind of explanation, official recognition from Auburn on what maybe the reasoning was for this, and go from there. But certainly interesting, and certainly I think something that just kind of slid under the radar this week as it kind of got more popular on the social media worlds.
It's interesting that they chose to put it up there without an announcement yet.
Yeah,
I thought it would have been. Most of those things are done deliberately for a reason. Maybe this is kind of testing to see how the reaction. They knew the Auburn fans were going to love it, but just see the reaction of everybody else out there. I don't know. I'm not privy to those conversations, decisions that are made. It has been long debated, and hopefully we'll get an official announcement here where you and I can break it down a little bit further and dive into some things.
Here's one thing that I did think about, and I actually thought about it when I assume it was your post on the E2C Network page, Twitter page, that the back of the scoreboard, right, where it says the 2 national champions, like if it goes on there, inclined to be like, okay, we're taking this seriously. We're going to throw them all up there. Now, I'm not saying, oh, well, it's not legit because they didn't do it in the last 7 days on the back of the scoreboard. I would think that's an off-season thing, but I feel like that shows itself a little more legitimacy if we get them printed up there.
Could we have something in the Iron Bowl happen? Something be announced?
I
Maybe.
would, I mean,
It would be interesting. I'm just
yeah,
saying. I don't know. It is a interesting times for Auburn. If you are someone that's been part of this debate very actively and is very invested and excited in this, we'll see what happens. We'll continue to monitor it. I want to talk about my time at Auburn this weekend. Surprisingly, when I say surprisingly, compared to the weekend before, how busy and hype and everything that was going on, how much fun I had this weekend. And one of the things that I did is I went back to Heyday Market and tried a different place. I know that I'm pretty sure you've tried this one, the Little
yes,
Darling Burger Co.
yeah,
I loved it. I did get chicken fingers because for some reason it just hit me that I wanted chicken fingers instead of the actual burger at the burger place. I have tried the Cuban sandwich place, which I actually
yep.
really did like. That was a year ago, but I walked in there just on a whim. Normally it's super packed and super busy, and it was busy. But that was the first time the line wasn't like out the door. So I was like, if
Right.
I'm gonna do this, I need to do it now. So I've tried it. I like it. I recommend it. Any thoughts on it?
Yeah, that's good. I think that's the first one I ever had, and really good, really good. Now the chicken fingers were good though, because I've only had the burger at the burger company.
Look, in terms of like, would I put the chicken fingers up there in the world's greatest category? No, but they got the job done. I left
Sure.
satisfied. So to me, like the fries were good. When you go to this place too, the prices are going to be a little bit more expensive, especially if you want to drink because there's no fountain drinks, but they do have a fountain water area over there if you want to do that, which I did. Trying to pinch pennies over here at E2C Network Central. So I tried that particular one for the first time. It was just good to be in Heyday Market because it's a very cool little atmosphere, and I enjoy that very much. And I, of course, stared at our lovely podcast
That
room.
was my next question. Is I felt like I knew the answer, but was our podcast studio that we've claimed and no one else has occupied?
It was not occupied, and I literally just stood
See,
there in front of it and just stared at it.
see, I'm telling you. I mean, look, I guarantee you, I'm willing to go on record. There is not a single other podcast that's talked about Heyday Market as much as we have.
I'm just saying. I mean, put us in there. We'll use it a lot. You may even get me to stay in town longer on a game day weekend. We can
Are
pop
they
in there.
open on Sundays?
That's a good question. I feel like that answer is yes. If they're not open on Sundays, that's shocking because
We're happy to film it or to record on Sundays at Heyday
record it
Market
there.
if they would have us.
Yes, we'll hit them up at some point to talk about that, hopefully. So that
Someday.
someday when all of our lives get less crazy in the world.
Yeah, right.
But for now, that'll do it for Potpourri. Let's move into our big topic segment. We're going to talk obviously about this big win over Mississippi State. That's relatively speaking in most years. This is one of those years where there's a big win. And then we're going to talk about the band, all coming up next. Big topic number one tonight, we're going to talk about Auburn football and celebrate. I was going to do like a symbol here, a dub, an SEC dub. There you go, like that. I don't know. That feels weird. I feel like we're throwing up gang signs or something like that. A win over Mississippi State, 27-13. Was that this 13 final score? Not shocking that you beat Mississippi State at home, given context of where Mississippi State is at as a program, and even as bad as Auburn has been, where they were at and what capable of at home in Jordan-Hare. So, there was a lot of talk, as there is on social media, Mississippi State fans acting like they were going to walk in here and just own us. I was like, when you're missing your starting quarterback and running back in Jordan-Hare, that's a problem for you, sir. So, hey, we got the dub. First SEC win for Hugh Freeze. He was super excited about that. Opening thoughts about the win, sir?
Yeah, I mean, you being completely frank, you hope that Auburn does not lose to Mississippi State 3 years in a row. You don't want to lose to any SEC team 3 years in a row, but when you're comparing yourself to a team who's kind of been on your level and not a level you want to be in the last few
Right.
years, you hope that they do not beat you 3 years in a row and twice in a row at your own stadium. 2 years ago, the Auburn Mississippi Stadium was kind of where it all decided to go south for Brian Harsin and that staff. Last year, a lot of hope around that game with Cadillac's first game coaching and being in Starkville, and just couldn't pull it out. And then this year, I feel like it's kind of what's the word I'm looking for? Poetic that it's Hugh Freeze's first SEC win, and we've kind of come all the way around. So interesting to see where things go from here. But a good win. I think a lot of people were pleased, especially in the first half, with the offense and how things were looking. The plan to kind of maybe keep Peyton Thorne in there a little bit more, or just keep one quarterback in there a little bit more than switching. And all in all, a good win. A win in the SEC is nothing to sneeze at, and Auburn got one here that they needed, like we talked about, that both programs needed. Auburn came out on top, and it looks like it's going to be a good maybe momentum boost for here as we get to the back half of the SEC schedule.
I'm glad you brought up the 2 years ago situation, because yes, that if you want to point to a point in time where things began to fall apart under Harsin, it goes back to that. I will never forget. I'll give him a shout out. I was watching the game with Chandler Fullman up in the middle of the upper deck, and both of us just sitting there just trying to figure out what we were just watching. You literally went from having the game under complete control. Your quarterback is starting to figure himself out in Bo Nix,
throwing them out, dominating,
and then he gets hurt, and then it just all literally just unravels. And then it further unraveled and further unraveled and further unraveled, and it kind of still unraveled a little bit this season too. Maybe, just maybe, what we just witnessed, if you believe in such things, coincidence and all that things, this was like the reverse juju of what's been happening for the last 2 years and trying to get the ship righted. Now, it was pretty much in Auburn's favor with what Mississippi State had to work with coming in. We've addressed that already. Their star quarterback, Will Rogers, out. Their starting running back was out. I will say, though, I want to give a little bit of credit to Mississippi State. I think Zach Arnett's going to get them going in the right direction eventually. That second half made me a little nervous. I think everybody in the stadium, if you were there, kind of started having a little uneasiness as we weren't scoring a whole lot in the second half, and they started to score a little bit more, and you could just sense the folks going, please, no, not again. I can't deal with this again. I probably would have lost more hair that I don't have up on top of my head if that had happened again. But first SEC win against Mississippi State. Austin, is it the first of many to come?
I mean, I think this year it's definitely the first of some to come down the road. I think it's a good footing for Auburn and Hugh Freeze to have. We talked about how hard it was at the beginning of the year. Getting one of those, we would have been happy as the first SEC win. This was a good one to start, and I think I really believe that we found something offensively that we're happy with. Now, putting that together for a full 4 quarters is going to be another thing, and the next 2 ones are on the road. And I don't care that it's Vanderbilt or that it's Arkansas and the horrible years they're having. You got to go on the road in the SEC and play in someone else's stadium. Well, or lack thereof a stadium.
Thank you. I was going to bring it up.
and still get a win. So business still has to be taken care of. And then there's obviously the SEC game at the end of the year that we will all be looking forward to and having a blast in Jordan-Hare with. But one game at a time. We'll head to Nashville next week, see if we can get 2 SEC wins.
So do you think this Saturday is an indication that things got a little bit more figured out, or was it just Mississippi State? Because I want to be honest here. I think you can make both arguments that, yes, it was Mississippi State. They're kind of reeling at the moment, injuries and an identity. And again, what they've gone through as a program in the last year, losing Mike Leach so tragically.
Sure.
But on the same token, pretty good. It was at home. Where do you lie in that argument? Was it Mississippi State, or was it Auburn figuring themselves out?
Yeah, one of my very best friends from high school is a proud Mississippi State fan, alumni. We went to games at Auburn and at State together, and so we always talk a lot during this game and just chat back and forth. And we kind of had that debate on, he was like, "Well, we're terrible. Like, I'm not surprised that Auburn's playing this well." I'm saying, I'm just letting you know, we've been dropping wide open passes all year, or we've been Peyton Thorne hasn't been making those throws all year.
Right.
So I do think there's a mixture. I think part of it is it's Mississippi State, but I'm not saying that part of it because Mississippi State is so bad. Part of it is it's Mississippi State, and look who else they've been playing. Auburn's been playing the rest of the year in Ole Miss, Georgia, Texas A&M, LSU. Compared to those, yeah, Mississippi State looks several pegs down the ladder. But in the same vein, Auburn and Peyton Thorne, that offense with tempo seemed to find something differently than they have been all year, and felt more comfortable with the game plan and with being able to execute things. So I'm going to lean that Auburn figured some things out. Now, we could have this debate again after Vanderbilt next week. We could have it again after Arkansas the week after. But I think there's things to build on if you're Auburn, where you should be proud of things and look to build on the things that you did well in this game.
3 things that stuck out to me in this game. I'm going to spend time on the last one. Jarquez had an outstanding game. We've been waiting,
Absolutely.
hoping, wishing for that. It felt like, and I know there's still some people that are injured or whatever, but it felt like we were the most healthy we have been. I think that, especially on defense, played a lot into the factor there. Just seeing, and when I say healthy, people have been back, but they were, Keontae Scott was just flying around, smacking people, like that. That's a good sign right there. The defensive back group continues to just look pretty dang solid, like we thought they would be. The last thing I'm going to point out here, and it's the hottest topic all season. It's been last for like several seasons. Are we putting the quarterback controversy to bed? Is it done?
Oh, gracious.
Is it done?
Are you asking me?
I'm asking you, is it done?
Oh, man.
Putting you on the spot.
I think it's really telling when post-game in the presser, Coach Free says, we had a package for Robbie, but we just couldn't really get to that. And I don't think that's necessarily of something where it was like, well, we didn't have the right looks we wanted. I think that there was a sense of the momentum and the juju was working well enough for Peyton Thorne. And it showed in his stat line and on the offensive side of the ball that things were working well with what they had. Now, is that going to be the future? And we're saying, all right, Robbie's backup quarterback, and he's not coming in unless goal line or Peyton Thorne goes down. I don't know, but I think with the leading up in all this week and the talking into should we be doing 2 quarterbacks? I don't know. Maybe that doesn't work. Were his own words. I think maybe we found something in Thorne and we're going to stick it and we're going to ride with whatever we got there.
Here's the reality. The controversy will continue as long as fans want it to. And yes. I just hope that we can, as a collective, you'll never be able to get rid of it completely. Just put it to bed just for a little bit. It's the most tired argument. Just support who's going to go out there. Is Peyton Thorne, is he better than Bo Nix at this point? No, he's not, but he's getting better. He's improving at home. Now, Peyton Thorne can do a lot of good for himself by looking solid at Vanderbilt and at Arkansas. If he does that, then this controversy is over with completely, because that's his biggest gripe, is that it can't win on the road. And yes, it's Vanderbilt, and yes, it's Arkansas, but it's still playing on the road at the SEC, like you just talked about. And then the big one.
Did you see Bo Nix this weekend, Cole?
Oh, you mean Heisman Trophy candidate Bo Nix?
Yeah, I was just checking.
That one that got away that everybody hated, that said he would never ever be able to compete for a Heisman, that said that he was horrible, he was the reason that we were losing, that said that him and his daddy went to Harsin and tried to tell him how it was going to be. And yeah, folks, when you see things online, really question it. That's all I'm going to say. That's all I'm going to say. Anyway, that is our assessment of the football team after Mississippi State. Still plenty of season left. Things can go up, go down. We'll talk about it some more when we get back together. Big topic number 2 tonight. I want to talk about the band. Can we just spend a little bit of time on the greatest, the most amazing, the Auburn University marching band? If I could do the justice of our announcer bringing them onto the field, I would, but I will Please not. Yeah. Well, thanks for the confidence. Thank you. They deserve being mentioned, first of all, because, let's be honest, the atmosphere in Jordan here is great. It's nothing compared without them and what they do game in and game out. Taking a field, strike up the band, the in between, all the things that they do and have fun with. But the last 2 weeks, especially, have really kicked it up a notch for them. Because if you haven't found out, I don't know how you didn't hear about this, they participated in a contest that several marching bands are participating in, where they are playing and performing a routine based off of Metallica's music with choreography, or I guess it would be choreography, but lights at nighttime. Wow. We have our video up here at YouTube. You can find it on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. Go watch it. But I would also ask that you support the band in whatever they need for you to do to support them, help them win this contest that's going on. So make sure you check their video out too. I'm sure they'll be announcing things if they haven't already. Let's start there. You weren't there for this, but you've seen the videos. I was obviously there because we filmed it live. And I got to tell you, man, that's probably one of the best band shows that I have ever watched in a halftime show.
How about that?
It
Yeah,
was incredible.
I mean, I think anytime, and there's a part of this that I always love. Anytime the incredible people who plan and organize and I guess like you said, choreograph the band shows, add in something special, a little flair. This time it was the Metallica, or last week it was the Metallica show with the lights, and especially, and then you find out the lights are created and designed by Auburn engineering students. Kyle,
Auburn being Auburn, baby.
those little things just warm my little Auburn heart to hear. It happened also when I was in school. It was the first time they did the lights like around their hats.
Yep.
It was like, oh, by the way, these are Auburn engineering students. No, is that a big deal, folks? No, it's not a big deal. Like,
Yes, it is. Don't sit there and lie. It's a big deal.
To the outside world, is it a big deal? Okay, they got lights, but it was done by their fellow Auburn men and women in Shelby Center, right up the road from the stadium. I mean,
Yeah.
I love that little part, that little tidbit of it. Something like that every year. It just, like you said, it's Auburn being Auburn and brings the whole of the Auburn experience. We just put it all together. So truthfully, I didn't get to see it live, like you said. I've only seen the video. I haven't seen the video of yesterday's Mississippi State performance, but when I hear little things like that, Kyle, how can you not love it? I don't understand how it doesn't just grow your heart 3 times bigger.
Christmas is getting too close for you. You're starting to do Grinch
Getting real
references
close.
here. Look, that show was incredible. It was incredible because it was at night. It was incredible because it was our band. They nailed it. And I couldn't have told you one Metallica song. I obviously perk up and know that Virginia Tech comes out to Enter Sandman, and then I remember that it's Metallica, but that's not my music. That's not my band. I have no appreciation for it unless you tie something to Auburn, which, again, as we've talked about, I've talked about it personally. We've talked about it here on the show. If you want something to take off, attach Auburn to it. And so this is another shining example. I bet more Auburn people have investigated Metallica than these people are probably who monitor the traffic of the Metallica like Facebook page are like, why is Central Alabama getting so many hits from us right now? That's why, because the Auburn people have attached themselves to something that's not even about, I mean, yes, it's about Metallica, but the Auburn band didn't. So now they want to know more about it, get more invested in it. Yes, they had they spelled out Metallica. They did some rock symbols and stuff like that. But of course, where it gets really good for the Auburn people, they made the tiger eye emblem with the lights. And it took me a second because it happened a little bit earlier on in the show, at least sooner than I thought it would. I knew they were going to make the A at the end, and that was going to be the thing that set everybody off. But when they did, everybody realized they were making the tiger eye symbol. That's when just the place went nuts. Like, I hate that you missed that, Austin. That hurts me to know that you weren't there.
And I hate I missed it too. I'm thankful that we have good video of it. I bet you had an incredible view. I mean, not to say that it wasn't an incredible view anywhere, but that band show looks a little different from 3 rows up as opposed to up in the upper deck. Like you, I mean, were you pleased with your view? Did you feel like it was better?
I moved
because of the show. Oh, you did.
I moved to film the show. I won't say exactly where, but obviously it was center somewhere. Not trying to give away the trade secrets here, but it's not like it's that you can figure it out. But anyway, yes, I moved because I was like, I got to get the best possible angle outside of using drones like the band's official video did and everything. I mean, obviously, I'm not going to be able to hold a candle to that, but I was like, we're going to get this dead center. I'm gonna try to keep my hand as steady as you probably, if you watch the video close, you can see me kind of wobbling sometimes because I'm just like dying, just trying to hold this thing steady to get every moment of it. And then at the end, Austin, when they formed the A, like they always do to march off after they performed, and that thing lit up, not just lights, but orange and blue lights, with
Yep.
the U being one and the A being the other, the crowd just lost it. I mean, it wasn't even about Metallica at that point. It was just about Auburn. It was just amazing. So I know we pride ourselves on talking about all things Auburn here, the Auburn experience to its fullest. I didn't think we'd be gushing about the band this much, but I couldn't let us get away without talking about them and that incredible performance because it was just amazing.
They're so good, and I don't know where the band rankings come out, on
Who
Sunday
can create some?
afternoons, but I'm willing to create some. But I love. They're not the biggest. They don't not have the most people. I feel like we've seen Auburn bands or other collegiate bands with a ton more people, or their own little quirky thing like A&M, and they just go back and forth like this a million times, and somehow we all just our jaws drop. Um, but they always just sound so pure, and then you throw in something like this where it's a little bit different, but you can tell that it's been prepared well and worked hard on. They just there's not any way that sounds better. I'm confident of it.
They, did a great job this next weekend, this past one, following up with Military Appreciation Week. And look, it wasn't like it shocked anybody that they were going to do the
Yeah.
sounds and the music of all the different branches of the military. But what they did with it was amazing. They made symbols and motion symbols with their formations to symbolize each branch. They did the Army, a tank with its tracks moving, a jet moving across, like a submarine kind of going up and down, like across the field and stuff like that. I mean, it was just outstanding. And then the band formed this giant American flag with little strips of, big strips of red and white for the stripes in the middle of all of them. Look, the band has done great things before, and they will continue to do band things. Of course, they're going to do band things, great band things in the future. But it's just maybe this is on me for not being a good enough Auburn fan. I just can't think of a bigger stretch of time for them right now. They're firing on all cylinders, and it's making the Auburn experience just great.
I mean, they're hitting their stride right now,
Yeah.
and I mean, all in all, you think about, and like you said, I'm not. Maybe we should be gushing over the band more regularly, but the coordination to be continue playing and know where you got to walk and all things to make sure that you're the tire on the tank and you keep moving.
Yep.
Um, yeah,
That
I think
that
we're a big.
amazed me because of the way they moved. 'Cause think they're trying to make the formation move across the field, but the tracks have to move at a different
Mm,
speed to show that that's still moving too. And then, like when the track comes down to move underneath, that it technically kind of I'm gonna get into science and physics, but it
yeah,
slows down
yeah,
a
I
little bit.
see
Like they
that.
did that perfectly. It was amazing, absolutely amazing. Austin, I was in the band once, and
Were
I
you?
yeah. I held the trumpet. That's about it.
When was this?
Not
This high school?
not in high school.
Oh,
I did 1 year of band, not by my choice. My mom, if she's watching this, she's probably like, "You're gonna tell this story?" I'm not gonna tell this whole story again, but I always
were
said
you the kicker and the trumpet player?
no, that was a different school. I was a kicker much later on,
That would
but
have been incredible.
they decided that Kyle was gonna be in the band with no musical experience ever, and that was interesting.
Is there
Story
footage of this?
there's pictures, but that's about all you'll get, and
Oh man, I
that's
can't
all.
wait.
We're gonna leave it at that. Kyle's not musically inclined, and there was a reason for that. When I was in the band and just literally held the trumpet and did the formations. That's about it. I played like the first two notes of whatever we were playing, and then I was done. So, with that being said, before we go further into Kyle's musical non-prowess,
Hmm.
we're gonna wrap this show up right here. Before we leave, I didn't ask you at the beginning, episode 55, who you got?
Oh, how can you not think of Mr. Carl Lawson? I mean,
Yes.
one of my all-time favorite Auburn players. A more recent one for sure. You could go with Corey Lemonier as well, I think. And then, there's been plenty of 55s throughout Auburn history that I'm
Takeo
sure of.
Spikes? Was he 55?
I was gonna say Takeo. I think he was in the pros. Maybe was he 54
That sounds right.
for
That
college? I,
that does sound right. He is 55 on this picture I'm looking at of Auburn Athletics,
of
so
Auburn. Okay,
of
okay, there
Auburn.
you go.
So there
Maybe
you
it
go.
was. Maybe I had it reversed. 54 in the pros.
I
I feel
did
like
the
he was
Googles.
54.
55
But
Takeo.
Carl Lawson. I mean, you talk about. Let's be honest. Auburn's had some 5 stars that have not lived up to the hype. Carl Lawson, his first Iron Bowl, he stuffs T.J. Yeldon on that 4th and 1. And then just goes on to make a name for himself in Auburn history,
Yep.
throughout his whole career. A great, great guy, super fun to listen to and be around, and still playing in the league. So Carl Lawson is going to be our episode 55.
Well, that'll do it for this episode of the Auburn Experience podcast. If you want to follow me, you can do so on the X at Kyle Loomis 24. Where can they find you, sir?
At Austin G. Scott on X, Instagram, and what have you.
Well, thank you guys so much for tuning into this episode 55 of the Auburn Experience podcast. Until we talk to you again. War Eagle.
War Eagle.
All right, we're out. Thank you, sir.
Thank
Good show.
you.
Good show. Anything you want to talk about or address before you leave?
I don't think so. I think I'm good to go. Hope you have a fantastic week, sir. I'm sure we'll be talking soon.
We will enjoy the nice quiet 3 weeks essentially in Auburn, and we'll be back again together soon.
We sure will. All right, War Eagle, everybody.
War Eagle. All right, folks, you're stuck with me for a few minutes here. We're not going to make this. Well, I mean, it's about 20 minutes left in the show, about 19, 18 minutes, but we'll see if you guys have comments, questions, derogatory rebuttals that you would like to have addressed as part of this portion of the show. Start dropping them in right now. I might go hit some of the ones that came in during the show, but really this is just an informal time where I make myself available just to chat with you guys because we enjoy meeting with all of you. Before we do that, I want to remind you of the tentative plan for the week of shows. Got one thing available that I can show you real quick. The Auburn Family Night live stream this Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Do not miss it. It is a call-in show. You can call in on the phone lines. And we will do a post-game stream after the Vanderbilt game, which will probably be, dinner time-ish, a little late dinner time since it's a 4:00 game. I guess it'll be later than dinner time. But we'll do that, and you never know what else. Probably have another band video out for you guys of their performance this week and plenty of other things. So stay tuned to E2C Network. I will continue to ask and caution you that life is just very busy and hectic right now for me personally. So if you guys feel like there's a little bit less on content this week other than our kind of normal schedule, just know we're working on it. It's just crazy good times right now. So we'll continue to ask for your patience there. So what's on your minds? You've got me for a few more minutes here. Don't hesitate if you're watching live. If you're on the replay, can't help you. You can post comments, but we'll try to get to them at some point. But if you've got something you'd like to have addressed here, WT checked in during the show. Good to see you. I do want to wish, there it is, Kevin Kelly, our eternal optimist, a happy birthday. Thanks for watching the show. Stan wants us to claim 2004. That one is difficult. I don't know that a publication named us the champion. I could be wrong. Probably am wrong. But the reason those were claimed is because publications and others that claim national titles because of publications happened in similar years. So that's why that is going on there. I think we talked about this a little bit. Took our foot off the gas. Looked like we backed off some. I think that's always our inclination when we see that because we're used to that, Kyle. But it's also that Mississippi State made great adjustments, and they're got a pretty good head coach who was a defensive-minded guy, and he was supposedly in the running as our defensive coordinator. So, yes, we probably did. You got to give credit to Mississippi State for making adjustments too. Quarterback seems somewhat more comfortable in the pocket on Saturday. Is that a testament to the O-line coming together more? I would be remiss to give any one area the credit right now, even Peyton Thorne, for his great game, because as he probably would say too, it's the whole puzzle that has to come together. So yes, the offensive line probably would be in that. They, at least in the first half, provided room for Jarquez to run and create a solid run game for us to have to complement the passing game. And so that kept Mississippi State more on its heels. So by that effect alone, I think that helped. I also think the wide receivers really kind of showed out this week for the most part. I think they deserve some of that credit too. Same thing for tight ends too. It's a whole big puzzle piece that finally kind of maybe didn't completely fit together, but finally for the first time you could see the picture coming together. Will it continue? That is the big question. Kim asks, when will they announce the start time for the New Mexico State game? They typically do it 2 weeks in advance. So that will be not this Monday, but the next Monday. Sometimes they will announce things well in advance. Usually that's only at the beginning of the season. But typically it's every 2 weeks. You will know the start time. That Monday is usually when they announce them. So this Monday, they will announce the Arkansas start time. And then the next Monday, they will announce New Mexico State start time. And then the next Monday, the Iron Bowl start time. Now, I will go ahead and caution you to prepare for an 11 o'clock kick. Just go ahead and prepare for it. I thought the Vanderbilt game, I thought the Mississippi State game was going to be an 11 o'clock kick. I thought the Vanderbilt game would be an 11 o'clock kick too. So a lot of the times it's based on who draws the most interest. Most people are just getting started tailgating. They know probably the viewership's down a little bit lower at that time of the day. So you usually put your teams there. But they try to be fair in how they, at least that's my understanding of it, about how they spread it out. Auburn did one. Yeah, the Texas A&M game was an 11 o'clock game. And I think that's it. That's all they've done. So they're kind of due for one at their place. It ain't going to be Alabama. So it's going to be New Mexico State. I will be shocked and pleasantly so if we get a final night game with New Mexico State. I would love it because it would create for a good senior, well, it won't be senior day, I guess, but a good atmosphere with that kind of weather that's probably going to be rolling through. But that's what you can expect. We are going to a scary place next Saturday, Nashville. Are you saying this because you can't find the end zone because it's not there? Nashville, Vanderbilt just doesn't help themselves sometimes being the butt of the joke in the SEC. They just don't. It's kind of sad that they kind of walk themselves into all these jokes. And yes, are they overused at this point? Do we all understand why that they just had construction delays and things like that with weather? Yes, but it's still no less funny. At least to me, it isn't. WT Hunter looked like a Heisman candidate with his performance on Saturday. I know it will never happen, but I loved his runs. I would disagree with you a little bit, WT. I love the optimism about it and your excitement about it. But one great game does not constitute a Heisman run. Now, with his athleticism that we've seen before, that was the Jarquez we all expected this season. And reportedly, he hasn't been 100%. He obviously had to sit out the first game because of all the season stuff. It has been interesting to watch how long it's taken to get him go. A lot of it's not, some of it has not been on him. We've not created a lot of running room. I think he's probably not had the same pop that he had to start off the season, but seems to be trending in the right direction, So to me, I'm excited for what Jarquez could do in the back end of this season, especially at home. He can go on the road and put together solid performances like he just did, along with like Peyton. Ooh, you're trending pretty good here. All right, a few more minutes here. Comments, questions, derogatory rebuttals. Get them in right now. Don't miss your opportunity to. I'm going to tell you that I will miss being in Auburn for the next 3 weeks. It has been a fun 2 weeks there. As much as I love, in my perfect world, we spread it out every other week. but that's not how schedules normally line up. In fact, it seems like every other year, because of when you play your big non-conference opponent, that year you get all your home games in the front end of the season in the hot portion. Like that one year we did 5 in a row. I was just literally baked because I was hot in all of those games, but I was ready for a break at that point. And then we basically didn't come home until November. I mean, I think that's literally what happened. It wasn't saying he should be considered for the Heisman. It meant he was running so well, it looked like a game for a Heisman candidate. Yeah, sure. Yeah. I mean, yeah. It's something he should be in the running for based off of what we've seen him do in the past and what we expectations were. He is quite the athlete. And it's why sometimes when I see people kind of saying they preferred somebody else to him, like they were saying like Tank Bigsby to him. I said, let's just hold our horses here. Let's just everybody hold your horses. You forget what Jarquez Hunter can do. You saw it this week. So keep that in mind about patience, 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 folks. Trying to think if there's anything else Auburn related that I wanted to address before we get out of here. I think we covered most of it in potpourri. Good luck to the soccer team tomorrow, taking on whoever it is in the bracket. And yeah, lots of things to talk about this week. Hopefully you'll hear some more from us. Stay tuned. Please be patient with our schedule right now, but working hard to get you content out. Hopefully we'll see you this Wednesday. Oh, and basketball. Yeah, apparently basketball beat Furman in a scrimmage. But basketball is right around the corner. I'm excited about that. So we'll be talking more and more about that in the coming weeks. You guys continue to be the best little family within the Auburn family, and I appreciate you so much. And we appreciate you being here. Till I talk to you again. War Eagle.